everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm up with another video in which I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful crop top. Now this is a same row repeat pattern, very easy to be followed even by beginners, and it's a summer top. And it's a crop top, but the sizes are adjustable, so you can easily adjustable, and you can adapt it to a dress, maybe even a dress, a long top, a crop top, or even a shorter top. Now, without wasting any further time, let's get right into the video. So here I have made a small design of how we're going to go about this top. So this is the front panel that we're going to make, and this is the back panel. So you can see that the back panel is basically a square. We're going to make a square of 36 rows, and this is the ribbed panel, and we're going to attach the ribbed panel to the sleeves as well. So the holes that will leave for the sleeves, we're just going to make a ribbed panel and attach it to the sleeves, and this is going to be the front panel. So here we have 36 rows. 36 rows as in we have a set of 6 rows, like one set will consist of 6 rows, and we'll have 6 such sets. And for the front panel, it is going to be the same till 3 such sets. So in total we are going to have 18 such rows over here, and after the 18th row we are going to make a v-neck. So after 18 rows we are going to first complete this part over here. We're going to complete this part, and we'll go move on to the other side, and we are going to complete this part. And of course we are going to make ribbed panels for the sleeves and ribbed panel for the bottom as well. So for the bottom and for the sleeves, the ribbed panels are going to be of the same size for both panels, and this is how our layout looks like. This is the front panel and this is the back panel. Now that we have understood the pattern that we're going to follow, let's get on to the video and start making the back panel first. So to begin with, we're going to make an X on our fingers like this, and we're going to make a slip knot. After making a slip knot, we're going to start chaining, and we're going to make a total of 11 chains. So the 11th chain is going to be the turning chain. So let's make the chain. So these are the 10 chains, and now I'm going to make the 11th chain, which will be the turning chain. After we're done with our 11 chains, I'm going to make a single crochet in the second chain from a hook. So we're going to skip that first chain as it is a turning chain, and in the second chain we're going to make 1 single crochet. In the next chain again 1 single crochet. So here we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the chains. So in total we'll have 10 single crochets. So we're left with a couple of stitches, and the last stitch. Here you can see we're done with our 10 single crochets, and this is how our pattern should look like. Now we're going to chain 1, turn around our work, and you see the V, like if you see the V, there's a front loop and there's a back loop. We're going to make stitches only in the back loop. We're going to make 1 single crochet in only the back loop of our stitch. Now in this next stitch again we're going to make 1 single crochet just in the back loop right over there. Again we're going to make 1 single crochet just in the back loop. So usually when we are making any stitch, we take both the loops, like we take the front loop and the back loop as well and make a stitch, but for ribbing we're just considering the back loop. We are left with a few stitches a few more. Again, just in the back loop. And we're left with 2 stitches. This is our, and the last stitch. Again, for the last stitch, just in the back loop, 1 single crochet. After we're done with our next the last stitch, this is how our pattern should look like. And now we'll move on to the next row. For that, we're going to chain 1, turn around our work, and again we're going to make our stitches just in the back loop. So we're going to leave that first chain, and in the next stitch we're going to make 1 single crochet in just the back loop of the stitch. Again, just in the back loop. So making stitches in the back loop actually creates that ribbing pattern. Again, we're going to make the single crochet in the back loop. In the next stitch again. We're left with a few more stitches, and again, after we're done with the last stitch of this row, we're going to chain 1, turn around our work, and make single crochets all throughout, only in the back loop. So we'll have 10 single crochets. I'm going to make 1 last single crochet and show you how our work looks like. So this is how it looks like, and we're going to continue our pattern just this way. We're going to make it as long as our measurements for the top are. Now here you can see I'm done making my ribbing panel, and the length of this is 18 inches. And now I'm going to chain 1. And I'm going to turn my work sideways like this, and I'm going to make chain single crochet in each of the stitches. So this will help me create my pattern evenly. So in each of the stitches, I'm going to make, on top of them, I'm going to make 1 single crochet all throughout. So if you want your top to be 40 inches, you're going to divide that by 2, so it comes down to 20 inches, and then your ribbon panel, the length of it should be 20 inches, as I have mentioned earlier. So here we go. I am going to continue making my single crochets all throughout the length of my panel, and I'll see you once I'm done. Now here you can see I'm done making my single crochets all throughout the length of my panel, and I'm just the last stitch is left. I'm gonna pull through that loop, and before making a single crochet, I'm going to cut the yarn, because here I want to change my color now. I'm going to begin making my top, and I'll take another color. I'm taking lilac over here. I'm going to take a loop and pull through both the loops that are there on my hook. Now I like this method for changing the color, as there's no visible strands of the another color showing. And now I'm going to chain 2. After chaining 2, I'm going to turn around my work, and I'm going to make a double crochet in the same stitch. I'll just pull the strings tight, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the same stitch. Now we're going to make 1 cluster of double crochets in the 3rd stitch. So I'll just tell you, I'm going to skip the next two chains, next two stitches, and in the third stitch I'll yarn over, insert my hook in the third stitch, yarn over, pull through. Now I'm going to pull through 2 loops and I'll be left with 2 loops and a hook. I'm not going to yarn over, pull through. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull through. I'm left with 4 loops on my hook. I'll yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now I'm left with 3 loops on a hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops. So this gives me a cluster of double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull through. Now I'll pull through 2 loops. Again I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, and I'll pull through 2 loops. I'm left with 4 loops. I'll pull through 2 loops. Now I'm left with 3 loops and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops. So you see we are making a V with a cluster of double crochets. Now I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, and in the third stitch I'm going to make 1 cluster of double crochets, pull through 2 loops, again yarn over, insert my hook in the same loop, same stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and I'm going to pull through all the 3 loops. After this I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to make 1 more cluster of double crochets in the same stitch. So this is a repeat pattern, very easy to follow even for beginners. And I'm done with my cluster. And this is how our pattern would go, like the whole row is just V's with a cluster of double crochets. I'm going to chain 2, 1 more cluster of double crochets in the same stitch, now I'm going to skip 2 stitches. In the third stitch I'll make a V with a cluster of double crochets, chain 2, 1 more cluster of double crochet in the same stitch, again I'm going to skip 2 stitches. In the third stitch I'm going to make a V with 2 clusters of double crochet stitches with chain 2 in between, chain 2, 1 more cluster of double crochet in the same stitch. Now I'm just going to continue making my cluster of stitches, and I'm going to this is how our pattern should look like. I'll just continue doing this and I'll see you once I'm done. So here I'm at the end of my row and I will make 1 V stitch here with a cluster of double crochets, chain 2 and 1 more cluster in the same stitch, and 2, and now you can see that we're left with 3 stitches, and now I'm going to make 1 stitch in the very last stitch over there. I'm going to make 1 double crochet, but before making the before completing the double crochet, I'm going to cut my yarn off as I want to change my color, and I'm going to complete this double crochet stitch with the next color that I'm using. So this is a purple, like a muddy purple color over here. I'm going to complete my stitch, the double crochet, with the next color. Now I'm going to chain 2 and turn around my work. I'm just going to pull that string so that to make the work tight, and now I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the very first stitch. After making that double crochet, you see the space that we have, the chain 2 space. We're going to make a V in that chain 2 space with a cluster of double crochets. So I'm going to make 1 cluster and I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to make 1 cluster in the same chain 2 space. Oops. Now I'm going to make a V-stitch in the next chain 2 space. I'm going to make 1 cluster, chain 2, and 1 cluster in the same chain 2 space. So for the whole top, our stitches are going to remain the same, our rows are going to remain the same. It's a V-stitch with a cluster of double crochet stitches and chain 2 in between 2 clusters. So you can make this top only in 1 color as well, but I'm going to use 3 colors, like the lilac one, the burnt purple one, and the beige color. Again, I'm going to chain 2 and make 1 cluster in the same chain 2 space. Now in the next chain 2 space, again I'm going to make 1 cluster, chain 2, and 1 cluster again. Chain 2 and 1 cluster again. Now my next row is going to be again lilac. Again, the next row I'm going to use this burnt purple color, then I'll use lilac, and then I'll use the beige color. So this is how our pattern should look like. So here you can see I'm at the end of our row, and there are 3 stitches left. I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the very last stitch, which is the 3rd stitch, as we did in our last row. So I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the last stitch. Before completing the double crochet, I'm going to snap off my yarn, and I'm going to take another color. I'm again going to take the lilac, and I'm going to complete my double crochet just to change the color. Now I'm going to chain 2, turn around my work. I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the very next stitch. I'll just pull the yarn strings to make it tight. And now you can see the chain 2 space. We're going to make 1 V-stitch over there. So I'm going to make 1 cluster, chain 2, and 1 cluster again. This is how a pattern should look like. I'm going to continue making these stitches all throughout the row. Now I have made 6 rows in total. So as I had mentioned earlier, I'm using lilac for the alternate rows, and this is how a pattern should look like. You can see how beautiful the stitch is, and surprisingly it is not too lacy as well. So you can see this is a set of 6 rows, and for my top to be 20 inches long, I need 6, like in total I need 6 such sets. So this is 1 set. I'm going to make 4 such sets of 6 rows each, and of course for my top to be 20 inches long. Now I am making it a cropped top, so for that I wanted 20 inches, and for that I will need 6 such sets, and of course the ribbed panel. So you can make the length of your top according to your preference. Also you can adjust the colors however you like. So I'm just going to continue making my sets, and I'll see you once I'm done. So I am done making my six sets in total of 6 rows, and I have a total of 36 rows, and of course the ribbed panel, and this is how it should look like. Now, as I've mentioned earlier, if you want the panel to be a bit longer, if you don't want a crop top, if you want a proper length top, you can just keep increasing the rows. I have 36, you might have more rows, or if you want the top to be shorter, you might have a little bit less rows. But overall, this is how the pattern should look like. This is the back panel, and I'm going to show you how to make the front panel for this top. For front, I'm going to make a v-neck for this top. So let's begin to make our front panel. So here you can see that I've made a panel of 3 sets, so I have 18 rows in total, and this is how our panel should look like. And now I'm going to start crocheting, and I'll stop my row in the middle of the panel, and from there I'm going to start making the v-neck. I'll go all the way through the middle, and then I'll make another row right from there, and I'll make a shoulder panel, and this is how we'll create a v-neck for our panel. So after completing our 18 rows, we are going to make this v-neck, right? So this will, the bottom part will consist of 3 sets, and the v-neck is going to consist of 3 sets as well. So we are going to keep decreasing till 18 rows. So we're going to keep decreasing every alternate row till we have a total of 18 rows for our neck on both the sides. Now you can see that this chain 2 is the middle of our panel, and we're going to make one cluster over there. So this is our cluster. We've left with 3 stitches. We're going to take another color, and we're going to complete this cluster. So here we don't make a cluster, chain 2 and make a cluster again. This is how the middle of our panel ends, just one cluster. This here I've changed the color, and now we're going to continue the second row with this color. For that I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to turn around my work, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet right in the next stitch. I'm just going to tighten the stitches, and now in the next chain 2 we're going to make 1 cluster as usual. So 1 cluster, chain 2, and 1 cluster in the same chain 2 space. Now in the next chain 2 space again we're going to make 1 cluster, chain 2, and 1 cluster again. Now you can see this is how our pattern should look like. You see we have started decreasing the stitches from one side, and on the other side of the panel we won't decrease anything. It will be a straight line. The decrease will only be from the part where we are making a v-neck. Here we are not going to make any decrease. So I'm going to continue making my stitch and till the end. So this row is going to remain at the same till the end, and at the end we're going to change the color. I'm going to take lilac again, and I'll show you how to make the decrease when we reach the neck part of our second row, like the third row. Again, in the next chain 2 space we're going to make 1 cluster, chain 2, and 1 cluster. Now I'm just going to complete my row with the cluster stitch. Now again, here you can see we are at the end of a third row, and here is where we're going to make the decrease. For making the decrease, we are going to just make 1 cluster stitch in the next chain 2 space, as we had done in the beginning of our v-neck. So you see that chain 2 space, we're just going to make one cluster stitch in that. We are not going to chain 2 and make one more cluster stitch in that chain 2 space, just one cluster stitch. And at the end of the row, like in the very last stitch, we're going to make one double crochet. Of course, we are not going to complete it because we want to change the color. We're going to take another color and we'll pull through. This is how our stitch should look like. Now moving on to our 4th row, we are not going to make any decrease in the 4th row. So we're simply going to chain 2, turn around our work, and we're going to make one double crochet on top of the first cluster that we had made. So we're going to make one double crochet on top of the cluster stitch that we made in our earlier row, and I'm just going to pull those yarn strings. Now in the next chain 2 space, we're going to make one cluster, chain 2, chain 2, and one cluster in the same chain 2 space. So this row is going to be the same. One cluster, chain 2, and one cluster stitch. Now please do remember that this row is going to be like ending normally. There won't be any decrease in the end of this row. The decrease is only going to be at the neck side of the row, not at the sleeve side of the row. So you see, we are going to keep making these cluster stitches, and when we'll end this row at the sleeve side, we're going to take the lilac color and we're going to make the cluster stitch again from there. And on that row again, we are going to come to the next side and we're going to make a decrease. Also, the decreases should be alternate rows, not on every row. So if you decrease on every row, the slant of our neck is going to be a little bit funny, so it doesn't really go like that. So every alternate rows we are going to decrease, and we are going to keep decreasing till we reach 18 rows. So the neck panel, the shoulder panel should be of 18 rows on both the sides. Now I'm just going to continue making my rows, and I'll see you once I'm done. I'll make all the 18 rows. I'm going to attach both the panels. I'll leave some space for the sleeves, and I'm going to make the ribbed panel for both the sleeves, and I'm going to attach the ribbed panel as well on both the sides. Now this is just to show you how it'll look if we decrease after every 2 rows, not the alternate rows, but after every 2 rows. Now I want my neck to be a bit like less steeper, so I'm going to make a decrease after every 2 rows. So if you want it this way, you can go about it as well. You can just see how I am not decreasing my next row. I have not decreased this lilac row. I am just making the stitches how they're supposed to be. And I'm going to take the beige color now, and I'm going to make a decrease in my beige color. So whatever suits you, like however steep you want your neck line to be, you can either decrease in alternate rows or after every 2 rows. Now I'm just going to continue making my top, and I'll see you once I am done with both the panels. I'll attach the panels, I'll attach the ribbed panels to it as well, and I'll see you once I'm done. So once we are done making our top, this is how it should look like. You can see it has a beautiful V-neck in the front. Also, the areas where I had left the hole for the sleeves, I have made a ribbed sleeves over there. Like I've just made a ribbed panel and I've attached it to the sleeves, like both the sleeves, just to put the look together. And this is how our top should look like. The stitch is beautiful, it is not too lacy. Thank you for watching my video. If you do like my video, please give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel for more such videos. Happy crocheting!